So we are live. All right. What's going on, everybody? So tonight, I'm actually stoked about this. As you know, foliar sprays are one of my things I try to tell people to do constantly, whether it's, just using something as simple as labs, or a product like Optic Foliar. I think people really miss out on that. But tonight we have the founder of Optic Foliar, Dinesh Dolliwar, with us. He's absolute legend, and with the Foliars, one of the smartest guys I've personally, followed and spoken to at shows, and real stoked for you to be here, man. Danesh, welcome, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Thanks for the intro.
Yeah, man. You know what? Might as well just shoot right into the what's been going on. So. Can you share with us like the origin story of Optic Foliar? Like what inspired you to create a dedicated foliar line? Like what was the because it's a lot of people don't go that route. They'll kind of incorporate a little something into their system and whatnot. And usually they're subpar. So what was the inspiration for just doing a dedicated foliar?
I think. To be honest, to answer kind of indirectly, you just started in high school just smoking. A lot of people in our industry got their job from not just smoking, but making a few extra bucks on the side. So
yeah, of course.
And what happened after high school is I actually got a job in a high school.
Okay.
And that was really cool because obviously, it helped teach me more about growing, different methods of growing. What was also really cool was, well, not cool, but I was working in where, anything and everything was being sprayed and used on plants. Where it was a spray or put in the root zone. And so, if you go back in time and you see they were not safe. And so one of the things, or one of my jobs in the shop was actually to take some of these and, people would bottle the shop with small little bottles. Guys didn't make liters, maybe they need like 15, 20 mils or 30 mils. I wasn't wearing a ventilator, I wasn't wearing masks, didn't have gloves, it wasn't a ventilated room, so it was like really not safe. But anyways, going fast forward a few years later, doing different things and including growing, like foliar spraying was just that one thing that, one, never delivered, and two, never evolved.
Yeah. Yep.
And when I say never delivered, like, I agree with a lot of people when they say, hey, you know what, we don't want to spray in foliar. Hey, with the products on the market back then, yeah, I'd agree with you.
Yeah.
But powdery mildew and bugs don't care what stage you're in. And so what happened is, we'd run into these situations where you're in mid-late flower, and now you got a PM or a bug issue or some sort of root zone issue, and you got a foliar supplement. Well, what happened was you damage leaves, you damage buds. Now, a lot of effort, investment, time, especially when it's your own personal smoke. You just lost it all in a spray with the products that are damaging the resins, the flower, the residue, and it just had so many multiple damaging effects, whether it was on the flower, whether it was on the extract, whether it's on nowadays all the different rosin extracts and whatnot.
Got me started on that crap. I mean, it's like it doesn't. It's like what you're saying is like you go through all this effort to shape your product and your bud and everything like that, and then you go and you put a bunch of fucking butane in it to turn it into rosin and all this other crap. It makes no sense at all. It's like you might as well just foliar with gasoline, you know. You know?
Yeah. So, you know, a lot of negative experiences is what, you know, inspired me in one way. Another one was it wasn't evolving. Like lights are getting better, nutrients are getting better, things are getting better, and foliar wasn't. So, yeah, just a lot of experience, I guess, to answer your question, or bad experience, and then using a lot of different foliar sprays on the market and seeing just the real limitations and the inconsistency of it all.
What was your R&D like going through all that? Like, were you just using different sprays, seeing how they reacted, and kind of going in a checklist? Like, you know, like what was the whole R&D part of it? Like, just from using another crop for so many years, you kind of knew what not to go for?
Yeah, because so like, you know, I just went through a lot of different products because there's different times where you're trying, even in just a proactive IPM program. So even when I was spraying in veg or, you know, looking to treat cuttings or whatnot, there was always an issue with leaf damage, restrictions on use, limited ingredient profile. You know, I had a system where, you know, I'd spray fungus, an IPM treatment for bugs, a treatment for fungus, another treatment for nutrition. But you know, they always had a limitation. You couldn't combine them. Residue you have to wash off. So yeah, just a lot of the like, and you know what I like to say is like we're humans, man. We solve problems, and so like, why do we keep running into a wall thinking the door's going to open when it's not open?
It's like what's it, the old square peg round hole? You know, you know, one of those things. What was some of the, like? Here's a question for you. Like, as far as, did you see, like, when you launched the Optic Foliar, did you see a lot of kind of, you know, pushback and stuff, or was it, you know, everything's so nutrient heavy? You know what I mean? Like, it's such a nutrient heavy market. Like, just putting out like a sole foliar, did you notice a little pushback on it, or was it kind of well received?
A lot of pushback. It's really easy for anyone to grasp. Let's try a different nutrient. Let's add a different supplement. But I think, you know, first off, being the whole lights on, that threw a lot of guys off.
Yeah.
That definitely threw a lot of guys off. And I think really, like, I think what I realized after a while was, you know, a lot of us grew up on those rotary phones when we were kids. I'm literally trying to go back in time and introducing like the latest iPhone or the latest Android.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people didn't like, yeah, it looks cool, but they don't understand how to use it or the benefits because they've never really. And I say this, you know, but no one's really seen what a foliar spray really does. They've kind of seen it, but until they kind of try something like our Overgrow, they've never had another experience to see what's really positive.
Well, let's get into a little bit of the product stuff. You want to break down, you know, how it is, because I know I use it, so I know what's going on. But do you want to break down kind of like how it is, because I know it's a sectional. You know, you have 4 different things that can combine to one, etc. You want to get into that a little bit, you know, for guys that are watching that really haven't heard about Optic Foliar and, you know, maybe are foliarly challenged.
You know, yeah, absolutely. But the first thing we want to do for everyone is educate them, okay, and teach them something new. So we're going to take you back to grade A biology. I didn't do too well, so you know, I apologize in advance. But you're all getting homework.
Yeah. Listen, and I love this kind of education, so you can roll with it, brother. You know.
Okay.
Big fan.
All right, all you guys that skipped class like me, we're gonna get back in time.
The way back machine.
Yeah. We did something right. We're here, right?
Yeah. We're all still here. That's all right, you know.
So if your users are online, what we want them to do is you write down or Google search the mesophyll layer. MESOPHYLL. Okay. The mesophyll layer, do a Google image search, bring up an image. And what you're going to hopefully see is an image of a cross section of a magnified leaf. So it's basically, imagine your plant leaves, let's chop it in half, magnify it 10,000 times to the size of a room or a house. That's what the inside of your leaf looks like. There you go. See?
Anybody who doesn't see it or isn't checking, this is what we're talking about here. All right. So,
yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right. So let's roll. I'm loving it. I'm going to follow along and draw the pictures up as we go.
So the reason I want to talk about this first is, one, to show the leaf in a different angle, and one, to show you what everybody's ignoring. First off, I'm going to start with stomata. Okay, the stomata are on the undersides of leaves. We all know that. Okay, and a big misconception in industry with a lot of growers is the stomata, spray the undersides and nutrients are going to go in. The stomata are responsible for CO2 and O2 exchange, and they open and close as CO2 and O2 needs to be exchanged. And I'm going to touch on this in a few moments.
Those red arrows, CO2 in, O2 out.
There you go. But what I want to do is, well, and look, everybody talks about the stomata. Hey, spray the stomata, spray the undersides. Okay, well, now let's break it down this way. At the top of the leaf, right underneath the epidermal layer, is something called the palisade mesophyll layer. Okay?
It's that white spongy layer right there.
Yeah, right underneath.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, you got it. Now, the function of the mesophyll layer, in simple words, it's a factory for the plant. And the reason it's at the top of the leaf and not at the bottom where the stomata are is because the top of the leaf is where the light comes in. So that mesophyll layer, the factory of the plant, it's going to take your light energy. It's going to take your nutrients from the root zone and the CO2 that come in from the stomata, okay? And just to be really specific for everyone, the CO2 comes into the stomata and it fills in the spongy mesophyll layer, which is right underneath that palisade mesophyll layer. And it's waiting to feed that production line. So, think about making a car. It's got the production line, it's getting light, it's getting CO2, it's getting nutrients from your roots, and it's taking that and it's building sugars and growth. So whether it's babies, whether it's mother plants, whether it's veg, whether it's flower, it doesn't matter what stage, it doesn't matter what plant, that is what the mesophyll layer does. It's in the leaf, it's the factory, and we spend a lot of time researching lighting. We spend a lot of money on CO2. We spend a lot of time and money on nutrients and additives. And if anything, I want to leave with all the users tonight, it's research the mesophyll layer, see how important it is for plant growth. Because when we talk about, we're not even talking about foliar sprays yet, but when we talk about maximizing your efficiency, your lighting, your nutrient, you're not maximizing it because there's a lot that goes on there that we're absolutely ignoring.
Yeah.
And in short, guys are using the mesophyll layer and the leaf as a solar panel and nothing else.
Yep, you got to watch because that stuff's so important. With the stomata, because little stressors shut that whole shit down. You know what I mean? So people don't realize that. Like, you can literally shut down the whole factory, without even noticing it. You know what I mean? Like, and to me, it's like these are the things that people overlook that definitely hinder their growth. You know what I mean? Like 100%. Not knowing little things like that. That it's like, it's 100% going to stop you grow. It's just 100% fact. So the better chances you have, to me, it's 100% crucial to use any tools you can in your toolbox. Basically.
Yeah.
So sorry to interrupt, but let's go
back. Again, like, guys are just from what I see, and foliar is a dirty word in our industry because a lot of guys are looking at it as a pesticide, as a fungicide spray, something that they don't want to do or really trying to avoid doing. And for this crowd that is trying to nutrient foliar spray, the stomata is not the way to do it. So, like again, the first thing we want to leave everyone with is research the mesophyll layer. Look at your lights, look at everything you're doing, and then here's the next step. Because that's the factory of the plant. The one thing is we want to educate people, and then we want people to look around and see what's out there and see what solutions we offer. And with our transport, what we do is we actually get the spray into the mesophyll layer, and we do that lights on, no damage, no burning, no residue, nothing to wash off. Don't need to. Thanks, Brian. Awesome. Love you. Right on. Please follow us on Instagram.
So what makes it available to be able to be sprayed during the daytime? Turn lights on, let's say daytime lights on. What's the secret there? Is there what's allowing that?
Mesophyll layer. We're getting the spray into the plant within 30 minutes. So you're spraying her onto the leaf, and if you have 30 minutes to kill and don't we all, walk it, and you're going to see the plant just absorb it into the leaf. And why that's important for multiple reasons. It's the factory. It makes it systemic. So
you just fed all the workers lunch, basically. That's it. You're just basically, you're the good boss. Everybody loves you in there,
Yeah. And it's easy to see the difference, because if you look at other sprays, guys are going to make comments on the residue or the phytotoxicity. So
the residue, nothing worse than when you see on the label of a foliar, it creates a waxy cuticle over the top of the leaf, something like that. It's like, well, it doesn't even make sense to me. Like, why would I want a waxy cuticle of some kind of spray over my leaf? You know what I mean? Like, it's just counterintuitive to me when you see stuff like that on labels,
And you're absolutely right, because again, going back to the science of the plant and how the leaf works, the top epidermal layer is a waxy layer, and it's been designed to repel liquids to prevent fungus. So again, I want to highlight everyone to the actual science of the plant and the leaf, and that again, when you learn about our products, go and shop around, because a lot of the spray products on the market, they have no idea what the mesophyll layer is. They don't offer any lights on solutions. They don't guarantee results. And that's the exact opposite experience what I'm trying to give consumers.
Yeah, listen, I've been using it for a minute, and the difference, I've sat there and watched, the plants, reaction, like, because I have a time-lapse camera. So I've actually time-lapsed it, from like when I first spray it until like, say a half hour after, like after half hour into the plant and a half hour, so like a good hour. And it's pretty cool, man. Like, you actually see the plants react to it, like 100%. And I've done it with other ones too. And you do not see the reaction that the Optic Foliar gives. You can actually see it works. Like it's crazy. Like, I'm gonna do it again this run and put the video out. I lost one of my SIM cards. I had the videos on it. But I'm gonna do it again this time, and it's unbelievable. You see the plant, like, literally, like get happy. Yeah. It's wild, man. And you can see it go in, huh?
Was that with the overgrow?
I did it with the is that overgrow? The all four combined? Is that what overgrow? Yeah. With the overgrow, yep. Yeah. It was absolutely wild, bro. I turned off all the fans, sprayed them, and then focused on one leaf, and you can see, the plant just kind of and went in, and then you saw the plant over like a half hour, kind of bow up a little bit. It's wild. It really is, man. The shit works good. It works real good. So I love it. It's one of my favorite products.
If you like, I'd love to jump into what overgrow is and what
exactly. Hell yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely, man.
So, we touched on a few minutes ago, the mesophyll layer. So number one, mesophyll layer. Number two, it's the top layer. So with overgrow, it's a ready-to-use spray, and you can make it yourself. We'll show you how. You'll save money. But what it does, it's what I call a multi-purpose dynamic spray. So if our mesophyll layer is responsible for taking photosynthesis, nutrition, and CO2 to convert to sugars and growth, then what can we do in a spray to facilitate, speed that up, and make it more efficient? So transport's a mix of overgrow's a mix of the transport, watts, rev, and attach. Transport gets it in. Watts is going to increase photosynthesis. So what it does in deep talk is it increases chlorophyll. What that does in turn is it signals the roots to increase nutrient uptake. So step one makes it more efficient, okay? And that's why I encourage guys, especially with overgrowth, use it when the lights turn on, okay? 12-hour cycle, 18-hour cycle. What's your lighting cost? What is the electricity cost? If we can maximize the lumens over a 12 and 18-hour cycle, that's going to maximize the nutrient uptake from your roots. Okay. Absolutely, you can use it with silicates. Just depends on using silicates in the root zone. If you're using the root zone, no issues with compatibility. Everything we do is compatible with any nutrient, any program, living soil, NFT, hydro, cocoa. It's
I use it with everything. I use it with everything.
Yeah, silica spray is still compatible with some different instructions and different days to use it on.
Yeah, it's I'm always a big fan of, like you said, with the lights, when the lights come on, you know what I mean? Like, it's perfect time for it, you know? Got them perky, you know? It's like taking a shot. It's like giving them their coffee, you know? That's it. Give them a nice cup of coffee. Let them get their day started, you know? happy guys, you know? So, go ahead.
No, I'm glad you noted that, because like, I touched on a few minutes back where it gets in within 30 minutes, and it's funny how you noted that. You said, "Oh man, at 30 minutes, it's really like seemed to like wake right up." So yeah,
it's literally it's like a cup of coffee, bro. It literally is, man. They get right to it. They get down to business, bro. You know what I mean? It's that's that simple. It's like the bell in the beginning of the workday. You know, everybody get rolling. You know, and the whole fucking plant just starts going bonkers, you know, like it's it, you know, like you'll, especially after you start getting it in, like as your plant starts getting rolling and stuff, like especially I see when you start cranking on that using, like I'll crank with that and I'll crank on it with the switch, like in the beginning of the bloom, and man, they go friggin' nuts, you know, like between the two of those things, oh man, it gets your bloom rolling, you know. It's one of the. I hope people will take the advice of watching this episode and go, and if they haven't tried it, go out and grab some, because it's really going to make such a difference in people's growth, you know?
For sure. Hey, let's give them info and understanding on overgrowth, because the first step is getting it in. The second step is the watts and photosynthesis. And then the next part is it's got a full spectrum of all the nutrients, the macronutrients, the vitamins, the sugars, micros and macronutrients, vitamins, sugars, aminos, carbs, all in there. And then the final part we got in there is like a natural fungicide. So I was looking to make something that was multi-purpose, dynamic, and also like makes your garden more efficient. Because when we're looking at the focus of the mesophyll layer, I wanted to do more than just give it basic NPK. I wanted to do everything we can to really maximize the growth, maximize efficiency, because that all helps, you know, really pick up that final quality, final yield.
Yeah, I haven't used all of them separately yet. You know, I've been lucky enough to just use to just beat on them all together. You know, I got a question from somebody. Why is transport like what is transport? You know, they just threw this out there, so I figured it's one of the ones we haven't covered yet. What's the science behind what would you call it? Ascending or the hell do you call it? My brain's not working right now.
Sure. So you can think of it like wetters and spreaders.
Yeah, that's it. Wetting agents. My brain stopped working.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in that category of wetting agent, but it's more translaminar, where it's getting through the leaf and into the mesophyll layer. So it's just acting to take that spray and get it right into the mesophyll layer. No damage, no burning, and there's no residue.
Nice. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. Huge fan. You know, but now. I got another thing. Feedback. Are you hearing feedback in your mic, in your earphones, Danesh? At all?
No, I'm good. Oh,
yeah, somebody's saying that we get feedback.
Not a little bit. There was, yes.
All right. Yeah, I don't know where that's coming from. I don't have anything on. You know, I don't know where that's coming from. But anyway, so we have a question here. Can a foliar feeding help rescue a plant in nutrient deficiency emergencies?
Yes. We're going to help you with a lot of things because it's going to get into the plant, lights on, 30 minutes. You're going to fix the plant overnight, if not faster.
Yeah. I had clones that were pretty that I got that were kind of banged up pretty hard. And I've seen there's a certain clone spray out there. I won't say by who, you know. We'll just say it's a 4-letter word. And I've seen people using them on clones, just annihilating their plants, you know. And I was really hesitant to use the spray, you know, I'm not going to lie. And I did. And I'm glad I did, you know, because it really did perk them right back up, you know. Like it really got in, you know, fast into the clones. I would say as far as, you know, as far as fixing it, I would say it wasn't, you know, right away, you know, like everything didn't turn green, you know, in 24 hours, but 36 hours in after, like, because I gave it 2 sprays and probably that I gave it one right away and another one around 30 hours. By like 36 hours, I saw a significant difference in the plant. You know what I mean? Like I got 2 blasts in there, you know, and I know I shouldn't have, you know, but they were looking hard, you know, they weren't looking happy. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. I kind of backed off the you know, the feed amounts a little bit on it. And it got in, man, and it saved those clones. And one of the clones was a $2,500 clone. So I was really happy that it saved it, you know. Yeah, that would have sucked. That would have been the worst to lose, you know. But so where do we want to pick back up? Let's see here. All right, so here's one. What's the ideal timing for foliars in flower? Let's get into flower a little bit because, you know,
okay.
A lot of people don't believe that foliar should be used in flower. You know, the pushback on this, you know what I mean? A lot of people are real hesitant and whatnot. Can you kind of get into, you know, why it's so important to push the plants in with foliars and flower? Because I really do think it's important too. I've seen the differences, you know, and I think people really slack on it. So if we can get into that a little bit, you know, I think that's super important, especially because the product's safe for flower. Like I've sprayed it on my flower late, you know, and no problems at all. You know, nothing came up. You know, I had one of them pesticide tested, you know, because it was when I first started using it. You know, I was, you know, you're always leery when you start using new products, but you know, I checked for that. Nothing, not a thing came up on that bud from your product. You know, like as far as like leftover residues, you know, and whatnot. Nothing was in it, you know. So I was real happy with that. I'll tell you that much, man. You know, it was clean. Like it was a real clean product, you know. So, you want to get into the bloom?
I'll touch on first is all of our products I've had tested in like different labs for all banned pesticides.
Oh, okay.
And we share those results because we want people to see that we don't have anything banned in any of our products. Okay. So that's available. It's something that we do just to be really transparent. You touched on
Danesh, are you based out of the U.S. or out of Canada?
I'm out of Vancouver, Canada.
Okay, so you guys are actually probably have stricter laws than we do, most likely, as far as with your regulations and stuff. I would imagine too, right?
Yeah, but I've had the test done in Canada and in California.
Oh, okay. So
all the different tests for you.
Oh, okay. Nice. All right.
Yeah. But
yeah, all right, back. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And look, when people say, hey, they don't spray in flour because it damages everything, if they're talking about the competition, yes, I'm going to agree with you. I'm slightly biased, of course, but it goes back to, number one, you can spray that overgrow right up to week 4 or 5 of power. Okay. Week 4 or 5 of flour. Because the transport, getting it in, there's no residue. Even if there are flowers, it absorbs into the plant, it breaks down, or it gets used and discarded by the plant. So going back to the science of it, the mesophyll layer there, it's connected to the xylem and the phloem, and they act like a two-way highway going from within the roots to the root tips and back to either bring nutrition up or take discarded waste down to the root zone in order to get discarded as waste. So because transport gets it in, we can now give you a different experience, whether it's in veg or flour. Because again, like I touched on earlier, like if guys have a problem in late flour, they need a solution, like bugs or fungus. So we have solutions that you can use right into late flour that doesn't damage your buds or your hairs or your trichomes or your leaves, because that's what the competition does, and there's a need for a solution. So, and on the flip side, again, it's, there's other products we have that are just designed to increase flowers, terpenes, oils. Again, a lot of people are scared, but use it one day, check it out the next, and your problem's either gone or you're getting more buds and you're not compromising anything. And that's just what I want to stress on, because does it cause any discoloration? No, I don't care if you're in Canada, Colombia, California. I want the same thing, or you want the same thing I want. Okay, I want nice looking flour, nice looking crystal, nice looking taste, nice looking smoke. You want the genetics to be expressed without compromising anything. And that's just it. We want you to spray without compromise. We want you to have a different experience, because everyone else.
Bro, it's crazy, dude. Like, like I said, there's there's some foliars that just blow my mind, between the damage they cause and and then the waxy shit they put in it and whatnot. It makes no sense to me. It's almost, it's almost like they're looking to destruct instead of construct. You know what I mean? Like, because there's no way in hell a company doesn't know, when they put out a product, what it's going to do. You know what I mean? And then when people all start having the issues and they start raising the question, like, hey, I've seen my clones explode too from from that stuff, and it's like, you can't. One person you could say, okay, 2 people, but when it's starts progressing to where it's a constant product errors and whatnot, you got to ask yourself, like, what is this company really doing? And organics, here's another thing too. Like, organics should not burn your plant. Like, how are you getting organic? An organic for IPM or whatever it is that's burns your plant. That makes no sense to me. It's like, what's going on here? Nothing makes me angrier than seeing when people use foliars, man, and it's and it causes damage, bro. Because it's like you said, it's hard enough to get people to use the damn stuff, like with foliars. A lot of people, like from back in the day, don't like it. So
well, there's a history and experience with a lot of older ingredients and products. And it's just what a lot of people have available. So a lot of people have plant oils available and they're used to using it. They've always seen it. And it's just that it's what they're used to doing, right? And so trying something else and like, look, we sound like crazy used car salesmen some days with some of the claims we make, right? There needs to be a better solution than damaging your bud and paying for it.
Turn to beneficial nematodes and mid-life flower. People that spray labs. A lot of people, use labs for their foliars and whatnot. Will it cause any interaction with anything like that? It won't damage your labs or anything if you're using that on top of something with the Optic, right?
No. So like, if you're using the overgrow or the switch for, grower flower as a boost, it's not going to have any effect with any biologicals or any predators.
That's
now,
awesome.
We do have an IPM spray, a bug spray called Evios. And what makes that is it's oil free, it's smell free, it's clear like water.
Yeah.
It's food grade, and it is late flower safe. So just like everything we do, it's not going to damage the buds, the trichomes, taste, or nothing residue. But it is one of those products that it repels all bugs, and so you might want to do a treatment of your predators and then spray that because the predators die off, and then it's another solution that we offer. So that single one would probably kind of work against your beneficial nematodes, but no biologicals, no issues.
Yeah, the Evios actually, I used that one. I used another product that's very hyped, and it had little to no effect on something an issue I had, and the Evios works well. The Evios works well. There's nothing on the plant. You don't even know you sprayed it. You know what I mean? Like it's phenomenal, bro. It's one of the. And if I'm not mistaken, if you wanted to, you could mix that Evios in with like your overgrow too, right? Like if you're spraying, you could put a little bit in there and spray, right? Like, will it affect the overgrow? Not at all.
Not at all. It's a food-grade ingredient. But you can also drop it in your root zone for any larvae issues.
Oh, you could, huh? You could just water in, huh? Oh, wow, that's awesome. Oh man, that's great. You think IPM is something that a lot of people really slack on? You think that's one of the I think preventative IPM is something that even if you're a home grower you should be doing, because you never know what you're going to bring in off your clothes, blah blah blah. But you see a lot of you're into the foliar game. I mean, you see a lot of slacking in that area.
Yes and no. I think some of the bigger facilities and maybe some of the old school guys, they're a bit more active with the IPM. What we want to show guys is don't just be active with the IPM, be multi-purpose. So, and that's what the overgrow is. It's going to boost the plant health. It's going to feed it. It's going to make it efficient. So if you're going to make that time and effort, which is fantastic, let's do more. Let's do with the lights on. Let's pay for the product. And get more quality and weight at the end.
Like I always say, man, quality. People love to go out and cheap out on stuff, man. And you know what? When you buy that cheap shit, you get cheap shit results, bro. I don't care. It's just like going out and buying a steak. You buy $1 steak, you're gonna get a rough. If you go out and buy, a filet mignon, you're styling, you know what I mean? Like the same thing with anything else, with your lights, with your genetics, with your, if you want to grow top tier shit, use top tier products. Like it's that simple, You're not gonna go to Walmart and buy some shit from Ortho, that's gonna be not on you in your lungs at the end of the plant growth. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like that, we got to smoke this shit at the end of the day, bro. So,
but when we're also talking about you're saying being active in IPM, when I say let's be active on IPM, that's where let's control the environment. Let's get better equipment for our air exchange, for our air conditioning, because that's if we can control the environment, that reduces a lot of IPM problems. And then instead of having to focus on IPM products, Then you can focus on products to stimulate plant growth, get better results, get better quality. And so it's a combination, but
let me ask you a question. With the overgrow, I know, there's a lot of products out there that, help push the bricks levels and stuff, because the higher your bricks are, the less likely your plants are going to be attacked anyway. Is that a factor in overgrow? Is there something that's actually pushing the bricks?
Yeah. So again, the thing when I designed overgrow was I really wanted something multi-purpose, dynamic. And so that's why within the nutrient profile of overgrow, all your macros, all your micros, vitamins, sugars, amino acids, carbs, the carbs to increase the sweetness and bricks. And then that's to help get the foundation set from like babies to early flower. And then the switch is what kicks in flower to just push out terpenes and oils and buds.
Bro, my plants are fucking greasy. Greasy plants.
The overgrow you're going to use in like veg and flower, where the switch is just for flower focus.
Yeah.
And it is a spray that you use in like weeks 4 or 5 as well as like weeks 2 and 3. But more terps, more oils, more buds.
Oh yeah. My buddy, I always I'll have him bring them over to the flowers, and I'm like, I grab the flower. I'll grab a flower every now and then, and go and stick my hand to his face, and they are so greasy and oily this round, and because all I've been using is the overgrow and the switch, as far as my foliar, and I'll tell you, man, I'm happy. I'm real happy. I'm stoked with it. Like these plants are gooey. Like that's the only way I can put it, man. They are pushing out fucking trichomes and resin on a level that's just phenomenal. Phenomenal. Yeah, I'm stoked,
and you
bro.
could be seeing that pretty much within a day.
Oh, bro, there was like no lie, it was around like probably around that like week 17 mark, 18, 19, like in there, when I gave it that second hit of it. And I was like, I went back in and I was doing some cutting, and I was like, and my arm was all sticky, and I was like, this wasn't like this, like a couple of days ago, you know what I mean? And I was like, all right, I'm just, just been, I'm actually, I just hit week 6, so I just stopped spraying, so, but yeah, these buds are nice, man. They're gooey, bro. Gooey.
And I actually love seeing your enthusiasm, because like guys are you're so disappointed with it and like never really talk about foliar spraying in a good way, and so it's kind of nice to see like people are like, wow, we sprayed it and like we really like the results. So it's like,
bro. Let me tell you, man. Like those plants started kicking trichomes out early, and it's. I mean, like week 6, I haven't seen plants that are this gooey. You know what I mean? Like they are literally like, I mean, it's another level. Like I actually, after I touched them the other day, I went over to a book that was like this on the table, and I put my hand on the book and lifted the book off with my hand. So this shit it's on another level, sticky. I can't wait to see the last couple of weeks, bro, because now I start, like I'll start fucking with my environment, and stuff to kind of, throw like stress events at them and stuff to try to push them even harder now. I like messing around with my plants, so, and with how gnarly they are already, bro, I can't wait to see the finish, when it's finished, because I know it's not over, you know what I mean? Like I know there's still shit going on in there, so I cannot wait for this harvest, bro. Like this is one of my harvests I'm like stoked about. And I haven't been stoked about a harvest in like the last 2 I wasn't the happiest with, but this one, yeah, I'm real happy with it, bro. Because you know why? Because I used the shit the whole time. I was lazy last round, and I didn't use it the whole time. And this time I did, and the fucking difference is night and day. It really is. It's I wish I could send some to you, bro. Like it's like that kind of level shit, Like the smell coming off of it is outrageous. Like such layered terpenes. It's like, you know, there's nothing bad I can say about the terpene profiles and all that about these plants right now. Like I got what these plants are going to offer, and they're just going to give me more on top of it. So I'm really happy with it. As far as like that expression, the terpene expression, the, you know, and just the overall, like, you know, drive of the plants, absolutely hands down some of the best as far as push I've had on plants in those aspects, you know, and it was the 100%, you know, the only other thing I did for folio this time was early on I did the labs folio, but then I was like, you know what, I want to switch over because I had I forgot who it was at the trade show, one of you guys, heavy set white guy, he runs one of your booths, and he gave me a bunch of it, and so I had a good run of it, and it's, yeah, I'm happy, bro, like 100%. I can't wait for people to try this, you know, because I know it's going to put people on, like, because it's such an easy way to push terps like this, bro. It really is. You know, I mean, granted the soil, and you know, has a little something to do with it, but it's allowing that, you know, that total reaction. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm happy. Bro. I'm sure. Yeah, bro. Let me tell you, man. When people that don't use stuff, you know, and whatnot, that, and because like you said, it's a leery thing, man. You know, like I use the labs more than anything with my folio because I've had so many products that just shit out, you know, when it comes to the folio, bro. It's like, it's an easy way to fuck your plants up, you know what I mean? Like having bad folio, you know? And so I've always been really nervous about it, you know? And especially lately, because I've been doing more product testing and stuff over the last couple of years and stuff like that. So, I mean, I've had stuff just fuck my plants up. So I couldn't be happier, man. Like, you know, for real, I can't wait for people, you know, more people to start getting into the product, you know, because it's worth every dollar, you know. 100%.
Yeah, no, seeing your reaction really.
Bro, I wish I could send you some of this bud when it's done, bro. Like, it's fucking outrageous already. Like, I swear, no bullshit. If I were to pick it now, I think it would be slamming. Like, it's like that. Like, it's one of those kind of buds where you're like, bro, like if I pick this shit now, like it's gonna be banging, and it's still got like 2 weeks left. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and it literally, I know for a fact that I could pick this bud if I wanted to. I'm at like day 45. And if I picked some of it as to test it, it would be outrageous, you know, already. So, you know, so I can't wait to see what it's going to be like. Bro. I wish I could. I wish I could. I really wish I could get some to you, dude. You'd be very happy. Yeah. Let's see. So, where were we? We got off on a thing here with me, but what are the all right? Here's one with you. What's the most common mistakes you see growers making with like foliar feedings? You know,
I can't say it's a mistake when my competition is giving you a substandard product. And so, and here's the thing is that, like, I've got competitors, wholesalers, people that sell nutrient products, and they're telling you to spray lights off underneath the stomata, and that's what they're teaching in industry. So it's not so much the growers are making a mistake, they're just getting really bad advice and information, and that's what I'm here to change. So like, we offer a foliar audit. Tell us what you're using. Tell us what you're not using. We want to show you how to save and get better results.
One of the craziest foliars I've seen, and I'm not going to say the company. You might know it by the numbers I'm going to throw out. There's a company that has a foliar that the ppm on it is about 5,000. You know, it's outrageous. I mean, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about by those numbers, but it's a system that's been around for a long time too. But when you put in, it's per like it to like a gallon. Like you put in like 30 milliliters, whatever it is, bro, and the fucking ppm's like 4,800 or some shit like that. And they're recommending people to do this, and I'm just like, you're out of your mind. Like this, I literally was like, back up. Like, I'm not even going to try the product. Like, what numbers are you throwing at me? You know, and I mean, have you ever heard numbers like that in a folia? Like, I mean, that seems outrageous.
Yeah. Well, why they're doing that is because they tested that they found only slightly, works. And so they're trying to go at a high rate in order to fix a problem, but they're going way too high, like you said. Like, you can't do that.
Like, I mean, and bro, I'm telling you, I don't know why. Like, it don't even make sense to me, Like, and that's they never changed it. It's been like that for years. And and I was gonna when they sent it to me, I was just like, man, I'm like, this time, like I ain't using this, like that's the first thing that went through my head. Like, that's just insane. Like, I had a plant now that I'm running, and I switched the bags on it. Like, it's got a reservoir on the bottom, a tray. It's called an octopot. So it's got like a wick that goes down, sits in there. It sits on the bottom, balances. So you get that hydrotropism effect. Blah blah blah. Right. Well, I had changed the bag. The bags normally allow the thing to sit all the way on the bottom. Right? Well, the new bags, I didn't realize there was like this much on the bottom that wasn't touching. So I stacked my ppm, not realizing it, because it wasn't drinking the bottom. So every time I was doing something, it was leaving something. So blah, blah, blah. So I started seeing die off, like quick. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, like a little aggressive feeding, but nothing I do 3 times the amount I was doing the plants, and everything started just going to shit. So I was like, what the fuck, So I fed it, and then I took a slurry test, and it was like 5,300 in the fucking soil. I was like, oh my Lord, I was like, what is going on here? And I couldn't figure it out. And then I finally realized I took the plant out, and I looked in, and it was like this much when it said it was empty already. And I was like, son of a bitch, I stacked up the ppm, just kept adding it, to it. And man, I'll tell you, bro, if I didn't figure that one out, but my ppm was, 5,000. I'm not the damage that caused that plant so fast was absolutely insane, and this is what somebody wants you to foliar the plant with, with a wetting agent, on top of it. So it's like, holy Christ! Could you imagine throwing that much into your plant at once, dude? Into the
stop and be gone.
Yeah, like it's batshit crazy, But that's like you're saying, like this is what a company is telling people to do. Like like you're saying that you're educating your customers. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's not education, That's destruction, Like, that doesn't even make sense. I mean,
I got a fun little tip there, though.
Yeah.
Because in that situation where you're overfeeding the plant and you want to flush, guys are going to flush the roots. Use some transport water, and you're getting water directly into the weed, and that's going to drop the concentration and help reverse it a lot faster.
You know what? I never even thought of that, dude. I never even thought of that. Just doing something like that. That's actually it's a smart idea. You know what I mean? It's a smart idea. It really is. Because it allows it, like it's almost like a little blockade for a minute. You know what I mean? While you're trying to force it, trying to push it out. It's like, hey, chill out. Like calling a break. For a second almost. That's kind of like the
harder for water, so we can get it in there to help get it back on track.
Yeah. Yeah, that shit was. I never seen a plant like react, so fast, because it was literally, because I wasn't feeding like I was feeding, normal, pretty much normal, to like the diet, what they were saying, but it was like, because with those pots you feed like every other, so it was a fair, it went, and then right when it hit that, it must have been like right in like the 4,000 mark. It must have, that's kind of like when it went, because I quoted it, like I said, at like, around $5,000. And, I know that last feeding I had given it was heavier feeding because I actually used what do you call it in it? A little bit of what the fuck's that shit called? Moab, like some push powder, and so it spiked it up a little higher, so I know that little extra push, is what put it over the edge, but man, I just can't get over the damage it caused so fast, bro. Like, it was every family fell off that plant in like 18 hours. It was like that.
Oh,
Yeah. It's one of those days. Yeah, it was an air pot. That was exactly what it was, and that's why I wasn't sitting on the bottom. Exactly. That's exactly what it was. It's a fucking air pot. I'm gonna carve the hole bigger this time so I can fucking drop it down in there. But that little mistake, man, cost me. Of course, luckily the plant was so healthy that it bounced back. Like, literally it stopped. The damage was stopped. Like, there was a point where I caught it and it put a hole to it. But, I definitely caused, a little bit of damage on like the yield on it, I think. But the buds were already so, plumped up, like I had some, really nice, good sized buds on them. So they were already at a point where I was like, all right, if I can correct it and then get into, week 7 and 8, I'm going to feed straight the fuck through, so I figured I'll be able to drive them a little bit. I'm going to go another like watering or two, probably just light to let them, just to make sure they're 100%, because they're drinking they're 6 gallon bases and they're going through 6 gallons every like 36 to 48 hours right now, so so that's good uptake, but they're drinking good, so I figure I'll go light a little bit and then just crank on them, again, and the stress event actually helped push some terpenes too, bro. I'll tell you that much. that nice stress event right there, but it was definitely scary, But I love that, bro. Like that transport trick, bro. I'm gonna keep that in my book, dude. That's a good little trick, man. I never even thought of that, dude.
Yeah.
That's a great trick. Let's see. What do we wanted to get into?
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting foliar little tips and tricks I have.
Yeah, man. And anybody can contact you, right? Like IG, anything like that. Anybody wants to reach out to you about the product and stuff like that, they could just reach out to what? Just the IG. Is that the easiest way to get a hold of you?
Instagram, email, whatever convenient. We do follow-up calls as well if needed. But check out the mesophyll layer and learn about that. And again, we do something called a foliar audit. We just learn about what you're doing, what you're using, not just the lighting and nutrients, but your foliar spray system. Some guys are spraying it, a lot of guys aren't. And look, if you really want to check out our line without investing, we offer these starter packs. So, you just come with free, you get all of our products. It will walk you on the phone and walk you through it. But you'll get the same result if you highlighted. And, that's what we want people to see and what people experience.
Yeah, hell yeah. You see, here's a question for you. I didn't ask, which I ask everybody. What's your favorite strain? Are you still growing? Do you still grow?
Not anymore because I'm not at home long enough.
Okay.
I'm going to say I've been doing this over, I think, 25 years now, and I've been able to travel and, like back in the day, one of the first ones I had was Afghani, and then we had this one, called K2. It was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
But what really, the old school hash plant, man, that stuff just kicked you on your ass.
Yeah.
Blueberry I've always liked, what in terms of old school strains. Now everything's like when someone asks me what a favorite is, it's like I can't say I have a favorite, but what I really do enjoy is when I get to travel and I meet growers and I get samples. And man, I get a lot of good tasting samples.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, I can imagine. I'm waiting for them to start a big cannabis event in Morocco, bro. And then if they do that, I'm gonna right there, because I actually had an offer from somebody to come to Morocco this year, and I wasn't able to do it. But next year I'm going to try to go, bro. I haven't. I've been wanting to go there and see, real hash production, the old school ways that they do it with, with the sticks and everything, with the big giant tops of bud and then just the experience of smoking that hash. Like that just, I haven't gotten good Moroccan hash in years, and it is just outrageous. You know what I mean? Like there is nothing like good Moroccan hash, bro. Like I hope that they open up a convention there or something, because eventually it's going to happen. That's one of the biggest producers on the planet, so eventually it'll happen, man. That's going to be the best. Could you imagine the fucking samples at that show? Oh my God. Hash is, and hash plant, who actually has a really good hash plant? Brothers Grimm. That's one of the plants that, they're known for it, but I've seen their hash plant and smoked their hash plant, and it's that ass kicking hash plant. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those. It's that old school hash plant. That's it. Like if you want to go back in time, if you ever start growing again, pick up a pack of those, dude. Like you'll be like, holy shit! Like it'll bring you right back to 20 years ago. 25 years ago when that shit was actually around.
Smoke that you don't find often in the hash plant. I've experienced it recently with a tuna, but man, it's like this tuna stuff is like, it's a little bit more like, I find it a lot stronger than the old school hash plant. And like, it's really strong. So like this tuna genetic I've tried a few times locally, that's really good.
Who makes that? Do you know what company that is? That does that one?
It comes out of Vancouver Island, and it's cool because it comes in a little can of tuna.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Like a tuna can. Sorry. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, it's a really dense smoke. So like, if you're into indica, this is like a really extreme indica, I find, but really dense, really thick, really heavy. But a few years ago, I got invited to a dispensary in Spain, just outside of Barcelona, and they were from Morocco. And I got to taste and try out a few of the Moroccan hash, but they also had some powdered hash, which was amazing because they had a regular hash, traditional color, but also a purple color, which was really cool. So
really, that must have been fucking good, dude. Oh my God, that purple hash. Oh, you know how crazy those fucking buds must have looked, bro. That they made that hash with, for it to still look purple after processing.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that must have been some good bud. There's a couple. There's an and I think it might be Balochistan. I think it might be that kicks off a fucking purple look like that's crazy. There's one of those like that whole area, that Afghan Pakistan mountain area, and they have some of the purplest buds I've ever seen. Like, I mean, it's literally that eggplant purple, and then the tip, it kind of gets a little less color towards the top, like it fades out and whatnot. But you crack it open and there's nothing but the stem, everything's purple. It doesn't matter what you look at, and after you dry it, you can fuck it up drying it and it still is purple. It's one of those kind of things, but I could swear it was the Balochistan, but they got cushes in that whole area, bro. That cushes and indicas, that whole corridor through there, is just outrageous with those kind of plants, man. Those are the seeds, that I hope that start making a comeback, man. Seeing that kind of stuff, because the shit now, it's starting to get so boring, bro. It's the same crap everybody's doing, and to see some of those strains come back, man, that would be unbelievable, Start seeing some of those old, real crazy, Afghani stuff, because there's a lot of good fucking, strains, cultivars, whatever you want to call them, coming from that area, bro. It's just that, all this other crap's taking over, everybody sour diesel this and and Skittles that. It's like, man, that shit's getting so boring. That's why the genetics is bottlenecking, because it's all the same crap constantly. It's like you can't just keep putting out generations of the same shit. Hopefully it comes back.
Yeah, for sure.
So here's a question for you: if you had to give growers one foliar tip that would instantly improve their results, what would it be?
A foliar tip?
Yeah.
Overgrow.
Yeah. Overgrow. I was going to say, you could say use overgrow.
Yeah. It's about efficiency. It's about nutrition. It's about everything I want in a spray. And I want you to have that experience so that when you're done using it, you get the results and the value. So like, take my information, shop around. I encourage it. Contact the competition, ask them about the mesophyll layer, and it's funny, they either don't know, but they also copy my marketing, and it's a recognition that we're doing the right thing. But in different countries, whether it's the U.S. or the Europe, I see people copying my marketing that never used to even talk about it, but all of a sudden there's some sort of photosynthesis expert at the same time. I absolutely want to thank them because they validated that we have an amazing product. And so overgrow. Just spray it.
I would say, as far as the easiest and easiest to use, and impactful, I'd say that 100%. I tell people to use it all the time, but you get people who just don't, for some reason, just don't foliar, like they think it's some kind of.
Yeah, people don't foliar, one, because they've had a negative experience, negative story. It's focused on bugs and fungus. And finally, they've never had anything like the education to be like, hey, here's a foliar, here's the industry. We're not trying to sell you something from 1965. We're trying to give you 2050. So that's what I'm here to do. But ask questions, learn about the mesophyll layer. You don't need to start it right today. Learn.
But here's one. What's the most surprising thing you've learned about cannabis plants through foliar research?
Oh,
that's one thing that kind of blew your mind about it, man. Like when you're like, wow, that happens with foliar. Like anything that kind of resonates.
Yeah, the mesophyll layer, because I think the day I realized that there was such a disconnect between what everyone was telling me and trying to teach me to the way the actual science worked, that then like set it off to trigger, what we're doing today.
Yeah,
we're completely ignoring it and not using it, and if anything, we were damaging our leaves. So some of these plant sprays, plant oils, plant products, they damage the leaf if you're in veg, and then if you're trying to provide a solution in flower, again, they're damaging the trichomes and everything. So yeah.
People, I like you said, I think it's just been such a bad actors, in the industry, with just crap products they know don't work, either have zero efficacy or fuck your plants up. You know what I mean? It's there's no happy medium. You know what I mean? Like it's literally, they're just, and people, you almost get tricked into believing, like almost like a placebo effect. People literally are spraying an inert product on the fucking plant, and thinking that it's doing something, but it's like, but they're using like a banging living soil, you know what I mean? Like that's really, doing the work, and that shit's doing absolutely jack squat, and there's companies that know that their products are like that, you know what I mean? It's like, it's the whole count, like if you, like a company that's telling you, like it's going to create the waxy cuticle, and protect the plant. Well, the fucking leaf's already got that. So if you're doubling down on that, why are you telling me to do that? You know what I mean? Like, why? Because you're going to start seeing the plant fuck up. You're going to start putting more shit into the plant, using more product, you know what I mean? And they're mind fucking you into screwing up your plants, you know what I mean? Like, in a way, you know what I mean? Like, because it's anything that you're doing that's negative to the plant's going to react to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You might not notice it. You might not notice it. It might be something, as silly as them just shutting down, just, shutting down the exchange. You know what I mean? Like, they just, like, a lot of times when you hear a company go, oh, after you use our product, the plant's going to kind of fucking slow down for a day or two. Yeah, I've heard that one too. Plant's going to take a day or two, and it's kind of like I don't want my fucking plant shutting down for 2 days. Like, what do you mean? Like, it's going to take 2 days, Like, I've heard that before. Like, it just doesn't make any sense to me, But it's all about getting the money out of your fucking pocket. You know what I mean? Like, for real, You can either take the money out of someone's pocket the right way or the wrong way, And I think there's a lot of wrong way. That's basically the best way to put it, There's a lot of that. And then you get companies that tell you can spray it in. It don't matter. It could be 90 fucking degrees in there. Spray it. Like, I don't want to do that with fucking LEDs cranking down on my plants. What are you, crazy? Like, it makes no sense. Here's a question for you. How come? And this is just kind of just popped in my head. How come with a lot of these sprays, you do it in the lights, it fucks your plants up? What makes it that this doesn't, like, when you have droplets on the plant, the lights are cranking on it and stuff like that? Why isn't it the plant reacting to it? Like, with other shit, you burn the plant. You'll see, you can see the droplets. Why doesn't this burn in the light? I don't think I asked you that. I'm curious about that.
Yeah. So because it's translaminar, is getting to the mesophyll layer, it's doing that within 30 minutes. There's nothing to burn. There's not
enough time for it to burn, basically. That's it.
Yeah.
Wow. So on average, how long does it take? Like, if you had droplets on the plant, you did it, with another thing. On average, how long does it take for it to start to burn? Because just 30 minutes it's in, it's no burn. What would be the threshold? Like, where do you start seeing damage? Huh?
It would also depend on the chemical.
Okay.
So so it depends on the chemical, the dilution, but that film, that residue, it's going to be there, and it's either going to be a residue, or because the moistures stay in there for a longer period of time, that's where it creates a magnification. But even the burning is generally from the residue.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was just curious about that, because it's to me, I understand it. Like, I've done it. At first I was, like I said, like anybody else, I was like, man, this is going to be weird spraying it with the fucking lights on, But it's there's no issue. Like, you know what I mean? There's no issue at all, But it's just to get to, it's still. It's counterintuitive, you would think, you know what I mean? But it's not. Like, it's one of those things, like, you mind fuck yourself into it. Like, I still, every time I spray, I'm always like, man, I like it. I think about it. I'm like, I don't understand why, and it's just getting in there so fucking quick that that's why, that's, but still, it's, there's probably, as far as, the one of the better products on the market, I would say, as far as foliars go, there's nothing that I've seen that really compares to it as far as, efficacy. It's phenomenal.
Foliar's always been an afterthought, because guys start with their lighting, their nutrients, their hardware, they know all that, and then foliar kind of comes in. It's like, well, maybe we want to use it on clones, or maybe we want to do an IPM, but no one's really focused on a foliar.
I look at it like indoors. Like, people think it's it's the perfect environment to grow in and stuff like that. If it was the perfect environment to grow in, it would be outdoors in Mother Nature. That's how it's intended. So you have to have every benefit you can indoors. You know what I mean? And drive the plant. You only have you can only have so many harvests indoors a year. You know what I mean? So it's to drive the plant and really get results. You have to take into account stuff like foliars, I think, because one thing, if the plant's this big, and all the nutrients are starting down here, you know what I mean? If you're putting stuff in this way and this way, to me, it makes more sense, like, you know what I mean? Like, it just makes way more sense to me, when you can drive it, like with the switch, you're getting that result because you're pushing in the stuff it needs at that time, basically, right? That's exactly what the whole premise behind it is, So it's like, to me, it's counterintuitive not to do it like that. Why wouldn't you? It's only giving the plant that much more, ability. And I don't know. I just never understood people that weren't foliar, foliar people. Like like I said, I'm always, I've always used labs and stuff like that on my plants, and it's just part of the thing. But seeing all the crap that was out for so long, you know what I mean? Like I learned about it at the show, dude. Like I had no idea about Optic until I bounced into the show, and I was like, I sat down with him for like 2 hours, bro, and I was just bullshitting about it. And I was like, holy crap! I'm like, man, I went home and used it, and had a good result, and then pushed it straight through, and I'll tell you, man, if you run 2 plants side by side and spray one without and one with, you'll see a fucking significant difference. A significant difference. There's no 2 ways about it. So, well, I don't know if there's anything else that we didn't cover. I think we learned. There's nothing more to really to go over about it. I mean, this product is just it's that simply, good. Like, you know what I mean? Like people, if I hope that anybody who watches this that doesn't take into account the foliars and stuff, I really hope that they go out and grab it, and take a chance with it. And if you're out, you guys are at every show. So if anybody's at a show, stop by the Optic booth, and you can grab, I know you guys always have those little samples, or you can just pay the freight and get a sample sent and try it out before you, jump into, the bigger stuff. What sizes do they come in, Dinesh? The bottles, what do they come in? Quarts, gallons?
Yeah, it depends on the product, but we got overgrow in quarts, gallons. But then you can make yourself to save money. We got 60 ml bottles for the concentrates, 250. So we kind of match any budget, any size. There's small bottles for the guy that's got a small grow, and bigger bottles for the guys that got bigger grows.
Yeah, I gotta get some more. I'm starting another grow this week. I gotta get more. I just ran out. I'm literally week 6, like I was done, bro. You know what I mean? Like it was the perfect amount of material that I had, so now I gotta order again. So you'll be seeing my order coming in soon. I don't know, man. I appreciate, dude, you chilling, man. I know you're busy. It took us a couple of tries to get you here, with all the shows you do. I think, what were you in Australia? I think when last time when we were going, or England or something.
I was in Australia, England, and Germany for some different shows, different shop tours, just wholesale tours. So
you must. How'd you like Australia?
Oh, Australia is awesome. Great food, great bud, great wine. So it was amazing.
Bro, it's one place there's like 3 places that I'm gonna go in the next few years. Morocco, Australia is one, and I want to go to China. China, I'm not too big on. I've wanted to go for years, but I'm just worried. Like with everything, the geopolitical landscape and stuff, man, it's not probably one of the countries I'd really want to go fuck with, because they might just find an excuse to grab you. You know what I mean? Like you spit on the sidewalk or something, and you're in a prison. So I'm not even gonna, but Australia and Morocco are my 2, man. I've seen my mom's friend was from Australia, and she used to bring pictures back all the time, man. And I was just like, holy Christ, it's crazy, that country, bro.
Yeah,
it's nice. Absolutely, it's one of the most beautiful places, man. And they got crazy fishing. I'm a commercial fisherman by trade, so they got all that crazy shark and tuna fishing going on there, and marlins and stuff. So I would be all over that. I probably wouldn't even make, I'd probably just be on a boat the whole time, because of that, So their fisheries are insane down there. But, well, Danesh, man, I appreciate you chilling, dude. I don't know, is there anything else that you wanted to throw out there? The website, I got the website up here. Let me put it up real quick for anybody that wants to check it out. opticfoliar.ca. You can jump on there. Danesh what's your Instagram, Danesh? It's just at Optic Foliar?
Yeah, just at Optic Foliar. And hey, thanks for having me on and let me
brother.
get around the mesophyll layer, learn about the
Yeah.
mesophyll layer, and
Well, my education is, I think that it's one of the things that's lacking in the industry. Like we had one of the things, that we were doing. We had the big Facebook groups where we were educating people and mentoring people and whatnot. We won that thing at Spanibus this year, and like a couple days later, they just took everything down. So I'm huge on education, man. So anytime if anything comes out, if any new products come out and whatnot, man, you're always welcome to come on here and and talk about them, and always welcome to come back if you want to do another run through and change the topic up a little bit. Education is 100%, one of my I don't see, if you're a grower, you have to educate yourself. There's just so much stuff that companies don't tell you about, besides, just crap products. They'll tell you that they reinvent the wheel, but, just with a simple little bit of due diligence, you can look up and save yourself a lot of trouble. Just that little bit of education goes a long way. So hopefully this educates people to stop buying garbage and start buying stuff that really works, because there's way too much of that out there. So, dude, I appreciate it, man. And I will definitely be in touch, soon to grab some product. And like I said, and you're welcome back anytime, man. You're awesome, dude. You're full of knowledge, man. And I really hope Foliar, starts to make it a bigger comeback, bro, with people, because it's just one of those things, man, that's lacking.
Yeah.
Just
we're
lacks.
going to keep doing it. We're not going anywhere, so we're going to keep doing our part.
I appreciate it, man. All right, brother. Well, I'll let you go, man. Thank you for stopping and hanging out, bro. It means a lot to the community too, man.
Thank you.
All right, brother. Have a good night, man. And everybody, next week we are on with who do we have next week? Man, we have. Hold on one second. I got to tell you who we have coming on real quick before we get off. We have. Hold on one second. Page. There it is. Oh, so next week we have the dude who owner of Canacan, the germination station thing, the little green germination disc. The Dawn of Germination's coming on, man, next week's show. So that should be interesting too, to learn about that little product. Anybody who has issues with germinating, this thing will bang your germination rates to like 100%, bro. Like literally, it's foolproof. So it's I've actually hooked a couple people up with these that had germination issues, and they're really good. So that's our next guest, and after that we have a couple of people that we're going to be bringing on. I'm not going to mention them yet because I don't know what order they're coming in. So that's it, guys. So we will see you next week with Canacan Germination Station. All right, have a good night, guys.